Right. Hello, everybody. Make sure the microphone's working. It is. Good day. Welcome back to this week's episode of Behind the Dice, which is just kind of talking about Dungeons & Dragons role-playing games, different facets of them, as while I'm working on different features of it as well. Hello, Dara Garth, Drowning, and Mr. Block's Fun. Today, I'm going to be digitally designing and painting some of the minis that I use to represent the characters in the game that I also put up on my website, Onlydraven.com. I'm going to work on some of those and talk today about just NPCs and character creation in general there, especially when it comes to NPCs and the different types of NPCs to consider in a game. So we're going to zip over here. Already got the site up. I use a site called Hero Forge. Can't really see because my fat head's in the way. I guess I should show their stuff. That's not a good spot. It would be a good spot. We'll go down the bottom left. That's not as bad. All right. So, yeah. So this is a free site you can use. There is a paid version which comes with some additional options and additional things, but it's a great way to design a character, and you can screenshot it built into the game. I have many heroes created, and some of those that just popped up you've never seen. So that's going to be coming up relatively soon. But today we're going to work on a couple other different characters that I've wanted to have for a while. Or, some of them older, some new. It doesn't take super long to put them in, just depends on kind of what you're looking for. It's hard to get exactly what you want because you are limited to the options that they have. But it works really, really well. You're able to do a lot of different races. Humans, elves, half-elves, dwarves, elementals, gnomes, half-orc, halfling, half-demon, half-dragon, anthro-canine, anthro-feline, rat-folk, minotaur, turtle person. I should tell Turtle about that. Croc folk, lizard person, raven folk, fawn, forest guard, elephant folk, fairy tale goblin, feral goblin, zombie, skeleton, goblinoid, hobgoblin, robot, because it does give a lot of sci-fi options as well. Half giant, aquatic humanoid, merfolk, centaur, orc, kobold, naga, serpent folk, frog folk, giggle dog. That's, I guess, a gnoll. Infernal, celestial, fox, bear, alien, insect, bugbear, and troll. And of course, you can combine facets of all of those to design anything you'd like. Now, you can order your miniature that you design from this, folks. They'll send it to you for a certain cost. Get them in a couple different materials. You can also get them pre-painted based on the color that you design here on the site, and then, or you can, for a lesser price, purchase the I guess you call it the recipe. I'm not sure, the schematic that they'll sell you. It's like $2.99, and then you can print it out yourself if you have a 3D printer. So a lot of different options here. They do not pay me. This is not a sponsored video yet, but by God, I'd take it. I mean, I use it all the time. So I've done a lot of different Merged Worlds characters. That's primarily what this and I've done heroes and villains and some that are yet to be decided, including, like I said, characters that aren't there. Darker says, fun tool. I think my son was using it to design his character for a school club. Yeah. Like I said, I'm currently just using the free version. Dragonkind. I want to say they had one. Yes. Let me go back and look. Elephant. Infernal. Celestial. I thought there was dragon. I could have been wrong. There may not be. I think they're just serpent folk. It wouldn't be hard to create them. Like half dragons. So they've got dragonkind here. So a half dragon. And if you want, you can give them wings. So they got a male and a female version of most everything. One thing I run into, one thing I don't like is if you look how, see how it looks like the top part here is a little bit too big for the bottom part. You can adjust that a little bit, but if you choose female, sometimes it gets even worse. So sometimes that can happen with their pants and such. And sometimes it flows flawlessly like it does in this one. Just kind of depends. Which, I mean, you know, you're trying to multi it for everybody. So I use this as a good representation for the characters. I like to have them so that way when I'm talking about it, you are seeing in your mind the same thing that I'm seeing in my mind. Early on, I used actors and actresses and things like that. And for many characters, that still can be an inspiration. I see a scene in a movie or an actor, and I'm like, that outfit is perfect if I made it for this type of character. And sometimes I come up with a character and then find an actor or a scene in a movie that perfectly describes what I like. So kind of go either way. But I like having a representation, so we see the same thing down the road when something important happens. You're like, oh, I thought they were blonde. No, they've always been a brunette. And silly things like that. So I have said many different characters already created in Heroes. You've seen it. I've done everything from the gods to many of Mercy's knights, things of that nature. But in here that have never been seen, which, you know, hints, right? But where did I put my book? There it is. Character specific today. And she has recently been put into the story just a little while back. Let me go back here. Some information. Sure. It'd help if I was on the right page. There we are. Now, I should have had this ready, right? Guess I have not, because I'm a fool. But this character is a character that's hasn't shown up much. Hello, Miss Ashley. It's a character that's only been kind of messaged once, or talked about once, but she is going to be more important as we move along. Her name is Shayla, and she is the half-elf female who's become Mercy's basically keeper of the keep, if you will. She is the one who oversees the day-to-days of the servants and things of that nature. What do you call him? Head butler, I guess she'd be. But she is a half-elf. She is a female. So, first thing I do whenever I'm creating a character is, you just made it home. Oh, good timing. I haven't gotten too deep in yet. Go up here, remove the clothing, because I never like the clothing they have. I mean, they have presets. You can choose pre-designed costumes, which are designed specifically to go together, and a lot of them look cool, but I rarely use any of that. But I like to go into body and measure. So I like here that it'll actually give you in the upper right here, that's just a 5'4". So if I want to make her 5'6", it'll make her a little bit taller. Why does that matter? Because if you're printing this out, 3D printing or purchasing it from them, and you get, say, her, and then you get a Darsh's figure is going to be drastically larger than she is, but it's going to be to scale. And I like that consistency of this site, because down the road I wouldn't care to print some of these out. So height I'm fine with. I have no desire to change much in the way of the body. Hair I'm definitely going to change, but that's not here in the physical size, so that's pretty good. Always like to start with a base. I usually use some of the larger ones just because it gives you more room for stuff, but I'll use the round ones. I'm not a fan of the hexagon ones. I don't use those very much. I think that's hexagon. But usually these three are the ones I use the most. This I would do if I'm doing outside in the grass or in desert. These things are really cool. If you really wanted to have one, you can actually, it prints out this way and you can have it hook on something. Or they have slot bases where you can put inside different holders. But then they've got like the really fancy ones that they've come out with that are pretty cool, but I don't normally use those because I try to keep it consistent. So let's go ahead and jump into the head. So, rid of hair. So for her, I pictured a shorter hair, maybe pulled up into a little bun behind, maybe something like that. Except I don't really like the double pigtails. I kind of want something single for her. She's very businesslike. She's almost studious in she's very serious. Not supposed to be whimsical. I like that. Maybe that. You can give him the Karen. Yes, the Karen hairdo does exist here. That's not bad. Let's see if there's anything. Not offhand. That's where I like to go, because that's not bad and that's not bad. I think I like that better. Look at that. See, so it's already given her a noble features, which is kind of more the elven design. You can go even more so elegant, which is supposed to be even more elven. But again, half each here. Eyebrows I'm not going to mess with. Those are fine. I'm fine with the ear length. It's hidden by the hair anyways, so no worries there. Don't need facial hair, horns, or any of that stuff because it's a female. So we're pretty good. Body. And wings, tails, or any of the extras. Going straight into clothing. So when you're creating NPCs for your adventure or story or whatever the case is, right off the bat, you kind of have to determine what kind of NPC is this person going to be. And there's a couple different classifications that I use. One is an adventuring NPC. This is someone who very likely, if not always, will very often be in part of the party when they're out doing their questing and adventures. From a Mergedworlds point of view, Quan, Ulrich, Percy, currently, Artemis's, but before that, Lucas was definitely one, right? Michael is one for Dandy. Darsh has Jorn, who sometimes is, as well as Kerrig, who is the cleric on his, but Nathalion early on was the one who really became part of the party a few times. So these are characters that not only do you have to know about them, their backstory, and so on and so forth, but you have to sit down and you have to roll them out very much like a character, or just give them the stats you want. But you need those things. What is their strength? What are they like in combat? What weapons do they use? What gear are they carrying? This young lady could care less what gear she's carrying. This is not a character that's going to be traveling along on an adventure. And that's the second group, which I call the background folks. These are the folks that regularly pop up in the story, right? They're steady NPCs. For example, we look at Artemis. She's got a bunch, right? Kelvin and who is it? Who else she got? Kelvin. She's got Miasha, Danica, all the paladin gentleman who pops up from time to time. Weston, Belgravian. He pops up from time to time. So there's quite a few that pop up in there and may be involved in a little mini bit. Doesn't mean she can't get pulled into something in the story, but she's not intended to be a regular adventuring buddy. And then you've got your filler folks, the folks that just make up the rest of your city. And of those groups, there's two groups. There's your named and your unnamed. Named are people who need to have at least a little bit of information because they will at some point or another potentially be important. I'll give an example. If you have 3 inns in the city, it's important to know who owns all 3. Because if you're playing D&D and the party's like, well, we want to go to this inn and talk to see the guy who owns the inn and see if he's seen this person come through town. If you live in that city, you're going to know who owns that inn before you walk in there, especially look at a situation like Serenity. Nobody has a business without being approved by the crown in this situation. So, you go to Bob's Leatherworking, you know Bob is the owner. That you need enough information about them that on the spot you can act them out. Usually you're not going to need that gear. It's nice to have 1 or 2 what I call interesting facts. And some of them could just be a tick. We'll throw example. So we'll start with we'll do the same thing with Bob the Leatherworker. Bob the Leatherworker, they go in to talk to Bob the Leatherworker. And Bob the Leatherworker just hates elves for whatever reason. So Artemis comes in, he's polite, but he's not very forthcoming. Dandy is basically a little elf to him, but a dwarf or something like that comes marching in. well, that's a working man kind of thing, male or female, but that's someone in salt of the earth who does things, you know, that gets in there and works kind of stuff. And of course, Bob's a human, so he's fine with usually humans as well, though he doesn't look favorably upon wizards. He's relatively okay with clerics depending upon their god. It's a useful god. God of gambling, god of luck, god of nature, god of harvest and party. Okay, harvest, that helps people eat. That I respect. So these are just some of the basic things you have to have in your head. You don't have to have it all written down. You can kind of make it up on the spot if you need to. But if this is someone you'd like to occasionally pop up in your story, maybe as a source of information, maybe Bob just happens to know things and no one knows why Bob knows things. You know. But maybe there's a reason Bob is a great source of information. Bob's also a horrendous gossip and likes to go to the different bars and inns in town and find out all the juicy news. So while he's a great source of info, 50% of the time it's true. So I might have a list of things Bob knows. Half of them are true and half of them are not, but I'm going to give them all to them. It's up to the characters to verify or figure that out. Hello, Rose. So in this situation, again, we're making our little half-elven lady. Okay? So I usually start with a shirt. Got a new one out here. So the fairy chest armor just came out. It's a set of leaves and stuff, and there's wings and things. I would feel that she'd be relatively professional. Like, I'm not going to stick her in a suit. You got to remember, some of this stuff that's mechanics suspenders. Some of this stuff is designed for sci-fi as well. This works for a multitude of different types of things. So if you're looking for sci-fi, you want to make a Western, there's gunslinger stuff and things. And I've used some of that stuff can be repurposed into fantasy depending on how you design it. Like, she's a studious person. I'm not going to put her in this top. That's stupid. You know. And if you've ever looked at the characters that I create on this type of thing, hopefully it is noticeable that you know that I don't try to perv out all the female characters and design and such. That's not to say someone can't, wear, a cute outfit like that or something. Regardless, it still works. But I'm not trying to show off all the goodies, if you will. Not everybody's dressed like this all the time, This is not all the female characters in combat. I'm not going to roll like that. I want to make sure it accurately represents the character that we've got. They've added a couple new ones down here. I really like the cloth bandolier for rogues. Like, that's very much something I could see Dandy wearing. And then this is just a new rogue outfit, Thief's Reinforced Leather Chest. Buckles and stuff. There's a bunch of stuff. It's got the little pockets on the side for your picks. Very nice. On the spot for an ongoing MC, write it down. See, yes, very good question, very good comment, Michael. Yes, if it's something important, you should keep notes as well. I as much as I pre-write my characters, I also take as many notes throughout the adventure as well, because Lord knows you look at the books that my stories in, there's stuff in margins all over the place, things crossed out, because something may happen during the adventure that leads me to take someone down a path I hadn't expected. Which makes them way better than my original idea. Pirate's tunic, not so much. Gunslinger shirt, like, I wouldn't care to go that route with her. I don't really like that. That's maybe if I go for a gown, I might do something like that. No, that's too nasty. That's not bad if I do something dressy. I was going to do her pants, though. I didn't really think she'd be rushing around taking care of the house in a dress. I just didn't. Not that that's not possible. I just make her very businesslike. That's actually, yeah. So pretty business with that. Let's take a look at the legs. Again, a lot of different options, and I find that this is the one area where I use legs that aren't common, like tattered pants. Who has a piece of metal around them? Like, that's not fantasy and such, but there are some sci-fi things. I love the gunslinger chaps, right? Because in my mind, those don't have to be battery bullets. They could be little bottles of potions. That one is this is mariachi pants, and it's probably one of the more common ones I use. That does not say mariachi to me. That seems like very roguish, or even a warrior who doesn't wear a ton of armor. Because once you, this is another one. Studded jeans is one I like to use a lot. And dress pants. Dress pants actually look very good. in some of the fantasy settings. So you want to go 80s pants, can't touch this. Buckskin pants are great for more like a native style look. Warrior skirt, that's male or female. But here we have one of those problems, like I said, where sometimes the top and bottom, it seems like the bottom's too big. Like mini skirt, short dress. There's a lot of really nice gowns that could work, potentially. That's more of a ball gown, but that's not horrible. That's not horrible. This is the thing that bugs me. This is one thing I don't like that bothers me what to say. They offer really cool belts. There's a very cool belt here, but you can't put a belt on and pants. Right? You can't have belt and pants. She's not going to walk around with ass hanging out just to wear a cool belt. Why can't I wear belt and pants? It just source of frustration. That's medieval gown. That actually doesn't look too bad. That might be all right. I like how they have a sensor bar now. That's just humorous. Or sensor wood plank. That's not horrible. I'm not sure I'd want to go with that top with it now, though. Let's see what we've got. That's the Outlaw shirt, but that actually looks to me almost like a decent professional shirt that would go with that. What do you guys think? That looks okay together. So the top and bottom, the bottom seems a little bit thicker, so it looks like it sticks out a little bit. But that may not be so bad when we start messing with poses. Because not everybody that's the default pose. Once you start moving people around to different poses, you've got some different options. And they've added some new ones here, like you can get dead. You can be dead. Never made a dead character. Well, made an undead character, but nothing like that. Got kneeling, kneel praying, being knighted kind of thing. Or now that's probably the more being knighted. You don't like the buttons on the top? You don't like the buttons. Okay. Fair enough. Go back to, where's the standard? There it is. That's the standard. All right. Don't like the buttons on the top. Let's see. What about that? It's still kind of loose and flowing. Kind of like how it has like the double layers to it. Kind of like the previous one did. It's definitely full length, so it's not walking around showing off all the goodies. And the top and the bottom seem to mesh a little bit better with this one, to be honest. I'm not too bad with that. Okay. Let's go down to footies. Oh, that's legs. Footies. And the feet are the ones I have the hardest time with. I end up using almost the same ones all the time. I use flats very often for people who are just, not out on the road because they work. Or I'll use ballet flats, which to me look like little leather slippers, because I'll change the color. Button shoes also could be viable of the time. For boots and stuff, there's a lot more options. But shoes, there's not as much. Most of the shoes look a little bit... I'm not putting anybody in thong sandals. Maybe a monk. Da-da-da-da. Probably the clothes. Lots of boot options. I give her lizard feet. They got a bunch of high-heeled military boots. You're never going to see me with a character wearing high-heeled boots into combat. That's stupid. But again, I can see where that might work for a certain type of character, but it's not something I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to go with the ballet flats for her. As soon as I find out where they went, they're there. Ballet flats for her, pretty good. Yeah, the dresses hide the feet a decent amount. But again, once I start moving the pose around, that might be a little bit different. Now, this is fortunately a character that I don't have to give swords and stuff. Most characters I got to worry about, I try to make sure they've got at least a little bit of gear, although I rarely put the backpack on someone unless that's an important part of their character. Like most of the characters, it's assumed they put a backpack on and maybe a coat before they go in adventuring. I don't always have that here, but I usually have their armor, swords, and shields and such. Yeah, that cloth meshes much better with this one. Okay. She's not going to wear gloves, so she doesn't need that. Not going to give her anything for a mask. Don't think there's anything head-wise I'm going to give her. I don't think she needs a headband. She's not Rambo. She's not going to wear a hood. She's not a flower princess. So I think I'm good there. But she also doesn't need big old battle knight. I don't use the shoulders that often. We are going to go back to chest, though, because that's where the neck stuff is. And I wouldn't care to maybe put a little necklace on her. Some it's not too over the top. Some of these are just gaudy. But I could see her having, you know, maybe something important to her that she wears around her neck. That's new. They've added the dog cone. That's relatively new. And a neck brace. Because again, these are for modern stuff as well. Metal choker. Give her a bell in case you lose her. Big old scarf in case it's very chilly outside. I don't know. That one I use a lot, though. I hate to keep using the same one over and over again. That one and that one are the ones I use the most. This one's okay, too, but to me it looks a little bit more ornate, like I would give it if someone was of wealth. Almost like a... It looked like a lady's tie. Sadly, there is not a simple scarf. That's the only scarf, and then there's a bandana. I'm not going to have her robbing anybody. I do use that one again. I don't know. I kind of like that. Kind of like the look of that. We can see. I'll leave that on there for now. So, and we'll go to gear. So gear is where all the meat is, and they just added a whole bunch of new weapons and crystal balls and such. Some of these really cool looking things. So I'm pretty excited about that. These just came out this week. They put out stuff almost every single week. Skeletal dagger, bunch of new stuff. So love that. It's just a little magical wisp flying in your hands. But she's not gonna have anything like that. Don't need swords. Now up top you could choose specific categories, but not everything is in the category you'd think it was in. So a lot of times I just scroll through looking for stuff. I don't need swords. She could be Freddy Krueger. See what we got here. Knives, axes. I agree. I think notepad, writing utensils would something work. Even if, I'm not sure if there's a notepad. If not, even having a scroll, an open scroll with a writing utensil would look good. Not going to need shields. Not going to wear a staff. The miscellaneous stuff. Give her a gun. They have a lot of guns. There are a lot of sci-fi options for guns. That's a Disney run if I ever seen one. Give her an unloaded shotgun. She's ready to do some business. There we go. Everybody needs a bazooka. That screams character to me. Then they have magical things too. You can have them having casting different spells if you're a wizard or wizardess. And some of these may look odd, but again, depending on how you change their position, it can be very different. If you're a bard, you got all sorts of instrumental ideas kicking around here. A few of those. Banjo, guitars, little harp. I would do that for a bard. I probably need to roll a bard character. That might be the next one we work on today. There we go. Big old ham hock chicken leg. See, a book wouldn't be that bad. If I can't find a notepad, a book might be feasible. That's a wooden stake. Don't need that. Broom, she's not really a little bit higher class. She's not above picking up a broom and doing it if she needs to. Deck of cards. Now, she'll take care of the hard stuff if it needs to be done. All right, what do we got here? Shattered book, potions. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe a scroll if I can't find anything that looks as good. Soda cans, coffee cups. Like I said, there's stuff for modern day. Because again, somebody may be playing an 80s style role-playing game, right? Might be doing something with that. A lot of these single arrows are relatively new. And again, I should say that's left hand, that's right hand. So you can give them two. Sometimes you'll see a thing in the middle that, here's an example of this. So if you do them two-handed, that looks pretty epic. I wouldn't care to do a character holding that. But not her. Shields. I could have sworn there was a notepad. But again, it's not always easy. What's that? Paintbrush? A little bit big for a writing utensil. Ah, here we go. A quill. That looks good. That looks good. It's a little fat, but again, you have to remember that when these things are designed, some of the things look a little big. You have to remember they're designed to be 3D printed, right? So you have to give them a little bit more leeway. It's got to be big enough that it'll print successfully. You give them a turtle. Everybody needs a turtle. Bagpipes, rubber chicken, whoopee cushion, all that important stuff. Glow sticks in case you're going to the rave. I like that. They've recently added a tool set and lockpick set for rogues, as well as these new pouches. I really been using those. I may go back and redo some of the original characters because there's so much more stuff now. Check out that shield. I love that. I think I'm going to go with the open scroll since there wasn't really a notepad. We just got to get her posed where it'll work. No. No. Almost not. Ah! Again, combat pose. I can fix the scroll. I'm not as worried about that. I'm trying to figure out how I want her. That might not. Okay. Advanced scroll. Really? Huh. Not giving me the option to spin her wrist. Let's try this. There we go. This out a little bit. That doesn't look too bad. Just not sure now if I like the scroll or if I'd rather give her a book. There's no book. Good Lord. Scroll, 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 scroll. It's too big of a... That's holding the book the wrong way. Deck of cards almost looks like a notepad. Can't help but wonder if this would be better. A closed scroll like she's taking notes. Like she's just finished writing a letter, maybe? What are your guys' thoughts? You like the closed scroll or the open scroll spun like I had it before? Well, you're thinking, I'll see how she looks with a cigar. I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. Yeah, wish there were a bit more eye options. Although, you know. Like the closed one, I was leaning that way too. Of course, this all could be VR to her. Oh. All right. So she's not going to need any back items. I would like to give her a ring. And we're going to put it on... No. The right hand. We are going to give her a wedding ring. Although she has no husband, and it's not something anyone's asked about, she still wears the ring, which makes a little story of her past. People have not pried, but that, even a little thing like that, opens the door to me for a whole story arc down the road if I want to. Why does she wear an engagement or wedding band? Was she married? Is she still married? Was she running from someone? Why would she still wear it if she was? So that's a very simple way to add something. And a lot of times when I'm creating these things, I put little things like that in here to see who notices. You know, to see who might catch on to that. Like, hey, why is she wearing a ring? Is it a magical ring? Right? Let's see. Earrings. Where's... we see her ears? We can. How are we going to do single bands? I think those look... she's not wealthy. She's not going to have anything huge and jeweled. This wouldn't fit her character. And she's not going to need an item on her back. Let's see. Do I want to give her a baggie? A lot of times, whether you're in the house or not, you might still have a little baggie. I just don't know if I'd see her walking around with one of those. She doesn't really have a belt on, so it'd be hard to justify that. Yeah, I like coin pouch. I was thinking as well. The coin pouch looks good. I guess yeah, the coin pouch would be. Let's see, I've got her left-handed, so that would make sense. Her bag would be on the left. That's all right. And now that we've switched to this, I may look at a couple different poses. You know what I mean? That's not bad. You know, the emphasis isn't on the look, I have stuff. Sometimes that's important depending on what they're holding. That doesn't look too bad. So let's see. If we went with that, kind of like that. I do like the little scarf. I'm going to keep that. Eyes are fine. Face. Question is she... Rah! Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Dice. Ah! Hmm? I do use cocky occasionally, depending on the person's cocky enough. But I like that little scarf. We're going to leave that on. So that's fine. Eyes, I'm not changing. You can actually turn whether they're looking up or down and such, but I usually don't mess with those much. So put that on there. That's good. All right, so now I need something on the base. So on the base, you can put different items. And I try to pick something that is fitting for the character. And there isn't always something. So I could feasibly put a chest because she's in charge of the castle, and I could see that being important. I use books a lot for studious wizards and clerics and things of that nature. Maybe she's in charge of the treasury. I use that a lot for rogues or people adventuring of that nature. There's a pouch. I don't think she's here to blow up the place, but in case. Back to that old ham hock turkey leg. You can put 2 items on the ground. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I just do old shoe. That looks good. Potions, gravestones, some grenades. How violent is this young lady? My goodness. Sometimes I like to sneak a little hourglass in there if this character is one day down the road going to be involved with anything where time is important. Or we can have a mimic. Speaking of mimic, I got the extra large Pop Funko mimic over there this week. It's just released. It's a GameStop exclusive. It's a mimic. The Minsk and Boo from the original Baldur's Gate game. I have that. Well, the Mimic is a Minsk and Boo box that's Mimic. So it's made the Pop Funko box the Mimic. It looks very cool. I don't think cannonballs are going to work. She doesn't need any rocks. I'm leaning towards potentially the chest, being again in charge of finances, or a boombox. Rubber ducky, mechano core. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I think we're going to go with the chest. I don't like its position, but I like where it is. Pardon the box. So that's not bad. I mean, that's the basics of creating an NPC. So we've got the basic look down. People know what she looks like. She's a half-elf, even though it looks like she almost kind of keeps it hidden a little bit in the way she has her hair. That could be important. Maybe she's not happy that she's a half-elf. Now, that's very common in half-elf storylines, that their parentage was not positive. But that's, that's an option. We got the ring on there, which adds a little something something. She looks very studious. She's very serious by the book, and that's kind of how the type of character I wanted her to be. Fine with the posture. So, but yeah. We go into coloring. So I always start with the skin. Skin and eyes are the first big thing. Half-elves have some generic options. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to do brown eyes. Not everybody has neon bright blue and green eyes, you know what I mean? You can get freaking red eyes. I use that for different characters. Some of these are very cool. But I try to use those for characters that would justify it. She has regular brown. So as such, we're probably going to give her brown hair as well, which means we can give her about a medium complexion. Ears colored. Here, hands are already done. I don't feel, while she's wearing rings and earrings, I don't feel she'd wear a lot of makeup. Like, that's just no time for that. So we're going to use just regular fleshy colors for that. Good fingernails are fine. She's not one to be dressed up snazzy unless it's a special event. So that's something. Oh, hey, Turtle, what's up, brother? So today, we're working on NPCs as kind of the example of what we're working on today. And this young lady is on the wrong page. Shayla, the half-elven runs the keep for mercy young lady that I introduced at the beginning of the kids adventure last time. Zoom? Oh yeah, I can zoom all in if I need to. Why, hello there. Yeah, there's plenty of zoom, so you can get in close if you want to do some stuff there. I've got all the skin except for her legs. Those. So I'm okay with that. Right off the bat, I'm going to go to ring is gold. Earrings, also gold. All right, hair color. So as a half-elf, we've got some more options. It doesn't have to have as dark a hair as some would. Whoops. Whoops. Missed the tops of these. Couldn't tell what I was changing. Oh, yeah, gotcha. So I'm thinking maybe something a little bit lighter colored. Half-elves very often have the same early elven lighter colors more so than dark. That's not to say I can't go dark. Kind of wanted to do that. I'm okay with that for now. Let's get some of the basic stuff out of the way. She's going to be in the keep. So we're going to give her moldy stone, dark. That. A lot of times for the temple, I use this blue color. But I think I'm going to go with the polished marble. Gray. I'm going to go with the dark gray. If I go with the dark gray, then I can give her slightly brighter colors, I think. Do the dishes. All right. Gary the Moth. Tell them their DM said hi. That I can do? All right. So, clothing and things of that nature are is where the primary color comes in. But we're going to kind of deal with the most. So I'm going to do a little bit of the off stuff that's easy to do. I use yellow teeth, very much for parchment. Because finding a clean white piece of paper, not so much in the medieval, you know? So a lot of times using colors of which are good for bone work well for feathers or for tainted paper. So that's a little light. I think I'd want to go darker with it. We're going to make that part wood. Wood. Make that one even darker. Thing, she got a little paper on her. We'll knock out the chest real quick since we're on wood anyways. Light with that. Good color. Matches some of the other colors in there. Jump over to metal. I want to use something adequate, but not too shiny. Yeah, we use classic iron. Go just a little bit shinier for the bolts. That. The lock, we're going to go, let's see. Lock, maybe we'll go dirty chrome. Stands out a little bit. Hey, Dave Gregory. Good day, good day. Welcome. Happy to have you. All right, so that doesn't look too bad for a treasure chest. I'm good with that. So I kind of feel like she would dress relatively plain. Like, I think the shirt and the pants should be like the same color. I'm not saying purple, I'm just using that as an example. Then she might do different for that. But I feel like she would dress in a very solid color, maybe even a gray or a black. Although, if I do go with these colors, I'd have to change the base. That's too much gray. Mercy's color has always been purple. Darker purple. She works for Mercy. The woolly wood. Got a darker blue. I'm not sold on this completely yet. Options. Off. One thing that's nice if you're doing this and you're watching, you'll see that when I click off this, if I've used the color before, you can see there's a bit of an outline around the edge. So if you're going back, you're like, oh crap, which one did I use? Look for ones that are kind of lit up that way. Plain color with purple accents. Okay, we can go like that. Mercy again being purple. So if we purple, purple, purple. Okay. You want more of a plain color. Light purple. Plentiful pewter. Sterling silver. That doesn't look horrible. Kind of plain, it's not jumping out too crazy. I'm not sure how I feel about the arms. So arms, I can. Oops. There around her. I usually do purple over there because it's the assumption that it was tied to the little belt that she's got on some way. So that's one option. I don't know why, but for some reason I want to change her hair now, color-wise. A little darker. I think I like that better. It was too light to go with the too light color of the clothing. That being the case, back to stone. Two-tone color base. Oh, that's a nice base. That better. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. Again, with her, there's not as many add-ons and things that need to be added to the side, but I'm pleased with that. Go up here real quick and rename her. And her name is Shayla. I don't have a last name for her yet. Let's see. Shayla. I want something elven. Maybe not. Tale of Winter's Breath. There's a reason. I agree about the shoes. I do have to get the shoes. Thank you very much. Let's see, let's go to something leather. I kind of want to keep with the... this might be the one thing that's a little bit darker than the rest, maybe. Let me look here and do some matching shoes. Hard to zoom in all the way down there. And it does make me do the shoes individually. Like, each one's got its own. So that's purple, but I'm not sure I like it. But I could go with black shoes. A little more business-like. Black goes with everything, right? Isn't that work? Isn't that how black works? Like I said, you can barely see her feet anyways. But... all right, so that is our half-elven steward. That's the word I'm looking for. Steward of Serenity Keep. Excellent, excellent. Okay, I like that. So, do save, then it always adjusts her. Then I come back up here, split out a little bit, and then we choose screenshot. Boop, and it puts her name down at the bottom of it. I click download. She's now she's in my download file. I can send it to, put it up on Instagram. I did put one up today. Today I put Bia, the young wizard who's been our thing, and then I close that, and she's now saved in my list of heroes like everybody else in case down the road I want to take her back out. Maybe something happens in the story where she has to gear up or something, something of that nature. So there's Sheila. Ooh. Puts us back to where we started. So for me, when I do NPCs, I like to have as much information about them as possible. Doesn't mean I always know their future, though. Some characters are introduced purely so that I can kill them. And I know that sounds horrible. But there have been more than one time, Moog, that from the moment that character was introduced, I know they were going to die. And they're going to die in a way that it drastically affects the characters. For good or bad or what. Of course, sometimes it's a villain, too. The villain's meant to be defeated. So I do try to have that in my mind as I'm taking care of things. Now, that's not to say that a character becomes popular enough with the party and the players or listeners in my situation that I don't prolong that. Yeah, I change that. Someone might be flipped around and like, okay, maybe something I'm doing would make it better where they're not dead. But usually it prolongs it only because it'll make it harder when they die. But if someone is designed to die, there's a reason for it. It's one of those time events. Imagine time travel as road, right? And you're at one end, and you know that one way or another, you're going to get to that end. You may take different on-ramps, stop and get gas. You may get a lot of different paths and stuff different people can take, but at the end of the day, you're still going to end up at the end of that road. So, regardless of what happens in the meantime, that's an event. And if you look at things like the multiverse things that people talk about with Marvel and superheroes and stuff, a lot of times those events still exist. Things will multiverse out into a billion different things, different storylines, universes and such, but they all come back to one special event. That no matter what happens in any existence, this one moment has to happen. Why? Is there a more powerful hand controlling these things above what even they know? I've always liked that idea. Merged Worlds was designed that way specifically. So, and I address it when I'm talking about when they finally meet Omniana and the god and goddess are released. It's implied that what the characters have done has been done tens, if not hundreds, or maybe even thousands of times. Time has gone by, and it's been repeated over and over again until they got to that exact moment, to that event. Everyone always ended at that event, but the event, they wanted it to end in a specific way. So they kept trying it over and over again. All of that was to get Seraph. So regardless, they had to find the perfect way to get that event to happen. But the adventure and what all those different parties did, Darsh is running around in the party, but Mercy and Artemis aren't there. Very different things to go down. There's no butter dish on your head. What becomes of you? Things that have to be addressed, but they're still going to end up at the source doing that same final fight. One of those things. All right. Didn't I say there was someone else I needed to do? I know there was. And another character I said I have a couple I'm going to do today. Let's see. Where is this one at? I have one I'm trying to decide if I want to do or not. Yeah, we're going to. So here's a character, a minor, tiny NPC who happened to pop up recently in the story. And the fact that I'm about to draw them will let you know that obviously they're going to be more important in the future. So you might say this is a slight, tiny hint / spoiler. So let's get to it. Species, human male. Clothing, no thank you. Body. Measurement, 5'9", 6'1". Okay. Very muscular. Very muscular. Sometimes you just got to give him some more booty. Some badonkabunk. Sorry, I make my wife laugh when I play with their ass and such. She's sitting here next to me doing it. I mean, you can do all sorts of things on here. Nothing wrong with it. It's on your character. So we go with this guy. So I've got the physical build okay. Next, we're going to go to hair. You almost always start with hair. Well, I guess I should do face. So you can go softness in the bottom right-hand corner. And usually, that's what a lot of the female characters are. That's the same face as the male, but then you make it more feminine. But that also can very much help lean to younger. You watch that, that looks like a younger person. So I use them in that way. 1 second. Sorry, my lady needs some help with something. Send her something on the computer. Okay, so yeah, that's where you can adjust the face of that. Very much. One thing that they don't have that I wish they did was a way to make someone look older. There really isn't a lot of options to give someone age in this. The closest you can get is that one I just showed you, which is supposedly gaunt features, you know? Silly to me. I wish I had some more options. Facial hair. No. 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 Maybe. Let's get the hair first. Let's see how beard will go with it or not. Question you have to ask yourselves, touching back on NPCs designed, whether they're going to live or die, and the whole conversation about Moog. Who else have I introduced that has always been intended to die? Consider. That's not bad. That kind of fits what I was thinking. Although, still crazy. This is a relatively new one. Who in the hell? Spiky punk pomp. I've never seen someone with this hair. At least nothing quite exactly like. Because I tried to create a friend's character with a scar on their face a few days ago, and there isn't a way to do a face scar. Face scar. All right, let me help you with that. Where is it? Give me a moment. It's relatively new. Not it. Yeah, the different tattoos and such. They've added a whole bunch of different tattoo designs that I haven't got to mess with much. Although, not so much. I rarely use them, so it's hard to find. I don't remember where they are, to be honest with you. The booth. Oh, that's where you can add frames and stuff. Pose. Nope, don't see it there. Ah, yeah, there you are. So, yeah, scar-wise, there is some different stuff they've added that wasn't there before. That doesn't look too bad. If you change the color of it, that wouldn't look too bad, like an eye scrape. I haven't done much with the tattoos. Did one. But enough about it. Have you made a turtle person yet, Turtle? I was thinking about that earlier. Made a turtle. Turtle. Chest. All right. Okay with the hair. Oh, wait. May want him to have earrings. We'll come back to that. All right. So this is a warrior. Find the right set of armor. I know what I want. I'm just trying to find it. I think it's down at the bottom. Yes, that. That's what I was thinking, man. It's one of the turtle people. I think that would look kind of cool. All right. For the legs, let's see. That's not a bad one, but not quite what I'm looking for. Something a little bit more flowy than that. That's awfully low. That's too much. Baggy work pants. Who in the hell works in those? Baggy work pants? Can't think of any reason I would use those. And why are those ninja pants? Why do ninjas need extra large crotch space? Like, I understand they got huge cojones to do what they do, but still, you know. Let's see. You gonna go have the scar? All right. Football pants. Tracksuit pants. Scrubs. I don't want none of those. I don't want no scrubs. My hammer. McHammer? This person isn't poor. It's decently well off. It's not horrible. I want the flair like that. It's not really his style. Not horrible. There we are with flair again. Let's rip on splits. That's probably true. Probably very true. Noble's breeches. I think I'm gonna go with this one. Or this one. That just doesn't match the jacket. I think I'm gonna have to do. I'm not real happy with that combo. Just baggy pants. I really don't want to give him pants with armor. Not quite what I was looking for. Cargo pants. I use those quite a bit, to be honest. That's that problem right there again. You can see it in the middle where the pants stick out further than the waist. Ooh, that's... To me, the top looks nice and loose and flowing, and these all look way too tight. I really like the top, though. Like, that surprisingly matches, but not quite what I'm looking. Can't touch this. That, to me... Bard's pants. That's what that's called. Bard's pants. You give him a huge package. Alright, we're gonna go with that. Let's get some feet going here. So I know the boots I want. Well, I've narrowed it down to two. That one or this one? That one. That one's more like what I want. This guy, he's gonna be on. 4 reasons. Still not super happy. Just don't see one. What is the whole pajama pants? Futuristic street clothes. Why? Giant crotches. Just unneeded. That had a better belt on it. But it's more of a tunic. So we go with that. Okay. So, this guy, the sword. I'm not sure if I'm going to put it in his hands or if I'm going to have it on his side. Take a look at poses. I wish there was a pose where someone was standing there with their arms crossed. I'd like this pose, but there just doesn't exist one. Someone who stands there disapproving. I suppose we used last time. Ninja kick. That kind of seems like someone's unhappy. That might work okay. But now I really hate the pants. Damn it. No way I'm keeping these pants. I'm going to have to go to something like that. I'm going to go with the 80s pants because surprisingly they don't look bad on this. I mean, I know you can get in there and twist stuff around and things, but crossing the arms and such, unfortunately, is a little... It's not a bad pose. I'm thinking he's going to have the sword on his waist. Stand. You want to get serious? Serious? All right, so I like that. Kind of like that one. Disapprove. Yo, yeah, I've already moved some of one of the earlier lady around some. Move pretty much everything in the game at this point, or in the pattern. So now we've got him in that pose. Let's go to all because I want side. That's hands side. The bag better. Where are the sheathed swords? That one, a gladius longsword. Longsword. my opinion, the swords are always too far back. You would never be able to turn around sideways without snagging it on it. Inch more. Space. That's what. All right. Got his sword. We got his that. Over to gear. Piercings. Double piercings. I agree. The daggers are way too big. 100%. They've made some new ones which look a lot better, but yeah, I agree 100%. Let's see. Right hand, middle. Finger, that one. If I put a ring on there, no one's going to see it anyway, so it doesn't matter. That one. Earrings on. That's fine. And then is there something I want to put in his hands? Like, that dagger's not horrible, but they're picking daggers that are more for knife fighting than a smaller, like a throwing dagger. But I agree. I wouldn't mind having some smaller knives. I'm just glad they finally have some small ninja stars. They used to only have, like that's supposed to be a throwing knife. That is way too big for a throwing dagger. Like, this is the type of dagger in World of Warcraft you use as a melee weapon, not so much as a throwing weapon. Rogues very often had those. That's not a knife. That's a knife. Rambo over here. That's a big old punch. Big side daggers. That one's about accurate. Daggers are too big. I agree 100%. And yet, that dagger is perfect. The dagger in the sheath is exactly like what I want. And I wish you could put these on their legs. One moment. Gonna mess with this guy for just for a minute because I had an idea and I want to see if this works. That's the day. Never thought of doing this before. Okay. I want to see if I can put this down on his boot, but that's not an option. It can't, because I'd love to have a boot knife, but they're not allowing for the boot knife. Crash that. Okay. It was a thought. It was a thought. No. Meant to be on his bag back. Okay. And that's true, but there are other small things that you can do, like the little ninja stars and such. I just think probably because it's too thin. Like, there's no real thin bladed swords either. All right, so like even why in the world? Oh, his sword. Oh crap! Hit the wrong. I forgot I was on. Ugh. I hate when I hit things wrong. There, that goes back to where it should be, but now I've ruined it. Hands, nothing. Pose, advanced, that. That's not it. That's more like it. Okay. Back to where we were 10 minutes ago. I'm mostly happy with this guy. He's got the earrings now. I wanted that. Let's go to head, brow. Give him a little eye scar. There's not a lot of options for eye scars. I can do pierced, but that brow bridges, monobrow, bushy one. Actually, the bushing ones, the eyebrows and the beard go real well together, but facial, there's no small beards. Like where it's like shorter beards, you know? That's as short as they get. It's still very bushy. That's all right. All right, so base, items. Let's see if there's an item that fits for this. Yeah, the stubble is, yeah. Well, I just wanted him to have a full beard. I just want it to be shorter. Fortunately. Not quite an option. No, I'm not seeing anything for this guy that I immediately jumping out at. There isn't always. All right. Add. There. That looks better. I have some very favorite NPCs. Obviously, talked about it before. Always some NPCs that you love more than others, and some of them you know you're going to love right as soon as the second they come into your mind. Draven and the Man in the Hat were both two of those for me. But then there's characters I create that I know are super like awesome, that I think they're gonna be awesome, and I know that people listening to the story are going to like them. Moog was one of them. And I have another one. I've talked about him before. That eventually we're going to see him. I cannot tell you how excited I am that we may, for the day we may get to that. Wood. Floor done. That does not look like salt and pepper. You can go design your turtle person? I understand. You be the turtle person you need to be, my friend. Skin showing lower than that. It's good. Skin for that. And go with brass earring. Not quite gold. See if we have the color I want. They don't always offer it. A little shinier, maybe. Too bright. That might be a little. on there. Again, I'm not sold on the color here yet. Love the way metal cut clothes work. Look though. I have used black quite a bit. When I really want a black, I'll use the black metal. I think it goes well for especially things. I like it better than the black leather. That to me looks like a very nice black leather, like a fine black leather. Whereas the black leather looks like this. It does not look black to me. It's gray. But he is going to have a bag, so I'll go ahead and do that. All right. Let's see what we've got here. That's too shiny. Interesting. Okay, so that's the shirt underneath. Back. Ooh. Back. I kind of wish the pants. I wish they're a bit darker now. Ooh, that might work. That too dark. Let's see. Cuffs. What do you guys think? Meant to have like a blackish, like a dark gray blackish clothing. Excellent. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that. So what color are we going to sword? I like to set off quite a bit different. Add a little color in there on that. Ooh! Well, now I really like that. Well, well. Does give him a little splash of color, doesn't it? Salt and pepper here again? Wow, that's just disturbing. I don't know if I've ever used that. It's not, in my opinion, it's not a good gray. Oh. You know, I could step away from that and look for something that's just a straight up gray. He was meant to have grayer hair. He's supposed to be an older character, so I kind of wanted a gray. No gray leather. I'm just looking for the different colored grays. That's too shiny. Shiny. Gray. Oh. Oh. That's not bad. I'll keep looking, but that's not bad. Look at the hair. I think there's a gray wood. No gray in there, no gray in there. That's a gray that's a little bit more gray, but it makes it a little more crystally looking because it's glass. Get a whole bunch more if you... The only thing is I almost think I want his beard to be a bit darker. What's the other gray that we have? One we just did. What did I have for gray before? I think that's what I was doing. Like, I kind of like it in the hair, but I think the beard was a little much. That. Especially with the darker in the head. Alright, so thoughts, everybody. Thoughts, everybody. This or... Where is it? The black seems to me just a little bit more pronounced on the beard, but it does kind of look like, of course, it looks like bone, which is what it's supposed to look like. You like it as just the gray? Remember where I got that. Excellent. This pleases Draven. And yes, sometimes Draven speaks in third person. Excellent, excellent. I like the blue. I needed a little bit of color in there. I'm slightly tempted. Check one last thing. Yeah, give him the blue belt as well. See, I'm almost tempted to get rid of but I want the black in there. It's too much. 3 colors, black, blue, and gray, I think. As for the bag, we'll keep it the color it is. I wouldn't mind it being a little bit dark. Now here's a question. Who is this? Anybody have any idea this person could be? You've only seen him really one time. Nope. I have Mercy's dad already painted. Good guess, though. Person was only on screen for just a minute. On screen. But it was very recently. And I can promise they'll be more involved with the story later. Let's see, one last check to see if there's something I want to put on the blade. I wish you could put a sheathed sword. That is exactly correct, Jim. That is exactly correct. We're just going to call him Dina's uncle because we don't know his name yet. Not that it's that important, but it might be. That is Dina's uncle. Well, I'm pretty pleased with how he's... Oh, whoa, missed a spot. Mostly, once I color this, I'll be very pleased. Mostly pleased with how this looks. Actually, I like this one a lot. This turned out well. I can't remember trying to find out what color, but okay. Dina's uncle. Get in here. Let's save him. Let's screenshot him. Dina's uncle. Won't let me use punctuation in the name. I can't do apostrophe. In case you're wondering why I didn't put an apostrophe, it won't let me. Very pleased with it. I guess I should probably come up with something for the grandparents too, but I haven't needed to yet. So maybe I'll have to figure out exactly how I want them to look. Excellent. That was a very good one. Very happy with how that. There was another one I wanted to do today, and I cannot for the life. Got all the kids done. Mercy finally got done. I need to do Mercy's new main Templar, because Percy's the second in command. Templars. But I have kind of put that off. Lucas retired, remember. I did at one point consider making Battle Armor Lucas. Like when he was in that battle against the Emperor, when he put on his death armor. I think having a version of that would look kind of cool. I have done alternate versions before. I have a version of Darsh when he was Captain Blackhorn in the arena, and I have a one of when Mercy was Lady Temptress in the arena, because those were legit costumes they had to wear, you know. I thought about doing Undead Hunter Dandy as well. She dresses definitely differently than she used to. But Death Blades Lucas might be a cool idea. Ones like that we have a very cool option, because I can go to I can pull up Lucas, right? We can change the way Lucas looks so that he still has the same facial feature. Let's do this. Save as. Deathblade Lucas. All right, Lucas. Sorry, bud. You've got to get naked. Funk. But never leaves his dagger off. The man's a warrior right there. Oh my goodness. Funk. That. Base. Now, obviously, I don't have to color everybody's whole body when they're wearing pants and armor. You never see them, right? That's never been as important before. Now he's ready for combat. That's it. He doesn't have any armor. That's what he looks like. By the way, you can get in here and drastically change stuff. I foolishly just straight up get in here. And so you've got a lot more options when it comes to the grays. I need to use this more when I'm looking for colors, but I have a bad habit of not doing it. Woo! That's UT orange. All right, so go back to the color I had him originally. I had one ear that was uncolored in the original picture. That's weird. Okay. Pretty sure I already know what this guy's gear is going to look like. Just got to find it and make sure it looks as good as I hope it does. Spray tan indeed. Spray tan indeed. Just looking to make sure there's anything I like more. Well, no, I don't like that. I just don't like how... why they would make that the bottom for that shirt. Never know! We need better pants. Alright. Need something better. Does wear pants. That looks better than what it was there. A little chunky, though. The pants he normally wears. Can't wear that. He's got to have some actual pants on. Leaves. He has a pants made of leaves. That's not going to work because he's going to have a cape. Again, if I could put that belt on something and pants, I'd be okay with it. Something a bit better armored than that. Oh. Too big. I just don't picture him in a skirt in this fight. Not that I'm against putting characters in a skirt. I've got a few of them. Wish I could have that without the tabard. That's possible. Ooh. Ooh, it's supposed to be techno pants, but kind of like the way those look. I could do something with that. I like that. That. I like the previous one, but it's leather boots. Salt armor. Ninja wear. Oh, who in the world? Sandals and shin guards is worse than sandals and socks. Don't ever do it. Don't you ever do it. Kung Fu. Regular plate mail. That's what he normally wears. See, the Dragon Knight boots look good. The shirt look good. The pants are horrible. All right. I think I like this one. So, thoughts. I'm torn between this one and... oh, it's way up here. Hide boots. Okay, so look at this one. Not hide. The thieves boots. Okay, so look at this one. Get a good look at what it looks like. Right? There's the metal one. And then there's this one. This one's a bit more plain, for sure. While you think about it, I'm going to work on the first one, the more Dragon Knight ones. Okay. Fine with that. I did like them. I was torn. Excellent. Okay, that looks good. So now I need gloves, which for someone like this, gloves can cover up more than just gloves, right? This is for the battle that led him to be retired. If you remember when they fought the Emperor, he put on his old, basically, Templar of Death armor and made a deal with the Goddess of Death. And this is the armor he wore before he was a Templar and then that fight. Excellent. I will definitely check it out, Turtle. So I need some armor for this. I need some, what's this? Fairy gloves. Not so much. I do want something that covers up a lot, though. I do want something that's a little more arrow. Like these are a little bit bulkier than I'd like, but they're doable. I'm not a big fan of the fact that he has elbows sticking out there, but what are you going to do, right? Those aren't bad. I'm going to change his pose, too. I just haven't done that yet. He only has gloves because I want to cover more of his arms. He doesn't have to have the hand part, but I kind of wanted him to. I always figured he'd be pretty armored up. Because again, he's a Templar. He's a in that he was a dealer of death. That's what he did, and he was very, very good at it. But again, the hands themselves can be free. I just kind of want to have something to protect. He has so much armor on his body and chest without a single inch of skin showing. I feel that would be an odd armor choice, and then leave your arms completely bare. I guess is kind of where my thinking is coming from in that. That's not bad. Woolly. I kind of like that, but that just doesn't go with the other armor. That probably would. There's not. That's the only version. The armor only comes in one version, unfortunately. The bladed ones, the ones that I had the little these on, like I like that. I really do, and it does have the ninja gauntlets. Technically, there's also spikes, but those are more like ogre style. I think this is more aerodynamic, and I think that's a good call. That's a good call. All right, I like that. I like that. He's such a badass. Now, do we give him shoulders? Shoulders, in my opinion, are the hardest part of creating a warrior. Because sometimes they look cool, sometimes they're just way too big. But if I am going to use shoulders, it's got to be something that fits the theme. Hey, hello, Teddy Bear. I think you are correct, Teddy Bear. That's too big. It's not arrow, because again, he's supposed to be moving very quickly. See, these just look like they're floating on his shoulders. I'm not a big fan of that look. That's just too big. Some of those little ones aren't. Then they almost feel like, why are they even there? Hey, thank you, Turtle, for sending Teddy Bear over. Appreciate that as well. Yeah, half skull shoulders is what I was picturing too. And the closest we could get to that is, let's see, like a necromancer's gear. But that's a wizard's necromancer outfit. Which, again, doesn't mean you can't be converted, but there's just no good real skull gear, sadly. And get the dragon armor. I like the dragon armor because it's kind of sleek. That's something I was looking for. All right. He has the big billow. It's time to change his pose so we can figure out exactly how I'm going to have him. Go back to the standard pose. He needs. Use the big two-handed sword normally, not when he's a Deathblade. Deathblade, he dual wields. Not sure exactly which dual wielding weapons. That's a cool blade, but I just don't see somebody dual wielding them. Not giving them huge. These two-handed swords, these are honkers. No one's running around with two of these. Well, Darsh might, but regular people aren't. See what else we've got in here. Not an axe, sadly. Good axes in this. Hammers. There's more swords down in here that are not with the swords. Bet I can't use side. But I did not give him that weapon. Would have been cool, though. Darsh would. Yeah, I've used Minotaurs and given them the big two-handed swords dual wielding before. It looks cool. Because, I mean, they're so big it looks like it fits. There you go. The worst weapons in the world. Bad music. I'm not saying all music's bad. He doesn't know how to play. That's his. Where are the other swords? There's some hidden down in here that are new and didn't end up with the rest of the swords and classifications. Even if you pull up swords, it doesn't pull them up. Blade sword. That would be a cool shield. But too busy killing. There we go. That's the weapon of a death dealer. Axes. Ah. I don't know. I think I could see that. Or extra large ones. I like that. I think that'll work. Side. Do I put his sheaths on his sides? This is the question, right? Do I do this? Obviously, I'll tilt it down a little bit. Jim, I do not know, sir. Obviously, these blades are bigger than the sheaths, but there's not much you can do. Oh, nice. Turtle's got a good answer, too. A DS3 Abyss Watcher Big Sword. I'm not sure I know what that is. off the top of my head. Gonna make him less happy looking too. That might work. I'll lift his head up though. Ooh, not bad. Also not a bad. That works with the whole Death Dancer concept. That's what he is. As a Deathblade, he's a dancer of death. I am not against that. Also not horrible. Some of the more animated ones may work well for him. Not Superman. That's a little bit more ballet than I'm going for. Also not bad. That would be the conversation he had. That would be him accepting his fate. All right, so I'm leaning towards this one. This one, what do you guys think? This one or this one? So 2 feet down, 1 foot up. Which we got here? Thinking about that, I got to color his fingernail. Animate them? Oh, wow. I'd be making my own shows at that point. Go a bit darker. Nope, I don't like that. Go lighter. Jim likes the 2 feet down. Okay. Oop, that's not it. That's it. Now we have to talk about. At some point, I almost kind of figured him with a hood. But I'm not sure I want to do a hood. I normally don't put the helms on them just because I don't like to hide their face. But if that wasn't... I like the face part, I don't like the horns. If I could have just the face without the horns, I might consider using something like that. That's the one he uses when he's with Artemis's. Okay? It's just a little too big. A little better. Horns are... I just wish the horns weren't so big. These are all hats. That's right idea, but I don't know if it fits with the armor. There it is. The scariest chicken head ever. I love this headpiece. I need to find a way to have a character have that. Let's have a character with an injury. And this is here so you can literally make a Christmas ornament out of your own minis. I think that's awesome. Unicorn of Death. Unicorn of Death. Funny though. Emissary? I don't know what that. Yeah. I'm not really seeing. Like, I like some of the designs. They're just a little more than I want to go with a character like that. Although, you know, something that. She critically fumbles. That's also not horrible. I really want something, like I said, a bit more sleek. Like, if I guess I could paint the eyes on that. There was one like that looked more like a skull. I'd be all about it. That's more orc. Oh, it is an orcish helm. I guess I was right about that. Elven. I've always loved that type of helmet. Ashley's. You know, that's not horrible. I just hate that it hides all of his face. Superb protection and low visibility. Baseball Lucas. World War II Lucas. There's a classic one right there. How do you go about deciding the importance of an NPC? There you go. Great question. So for me, a lot of times I create the NPC to fit a hole. And that can mean several different things. For example, Tobias, back in the day, it was a party of 2 warriors, a cleric, and a rogue. They had no mage. So I wanted to have someone who I could have be their mage, but who didn't overshadow them in power. I wanted somebody who was weaker than them, but powerful enough that it would still benefit, would still help. So Tobias is a great example of that. And to be honest, Thea has stepped into that role in the current adventure. Though whether or not I keep her around after this is still up in the air. I've got an idea for her future, but I did not create her to die. I'll say that. But I a lot of times they're fitting a specific hole. The NPCs that all became Mercy's knights. When we came up with that concept, we were thinking of the Clive Owen King Arthur movie, where he had his knights, but every knight kind of had their own specialty. We liked that idea, those loyal knights that traveled with him and you know, were loyal till the end kind of thing, but each brought their own different thing to the round table, if you will. And then sometimes you just luck out. Sometimes I have the character that I keep talking about that I'm really excited to introduce. He exists because I had to get characters from point A to point B, and I needed something to bridge those. Like, this is what's going on in the adventure. This is where they have to end up. What is a realistic story flowing way to get them from here to here? And this person perfectly bridged that gap and filled a hole I didn't know I had until I created him. And I was like, this will be perfect. And so sometimes you just luck upon that. You're like, I need something to go here. So their importance can depend on exactly how they're going to be in the story. Miasha is very important, although rarely do you see her do a lot of stuff. She's very important behind the scenes. She's the reason Artemis can basically go off an adventure, because Miasha looks after things while she's gone. So it's an important role that she plays. So I try to, every so often, add a little bit more depth to that character, pull her in occasionally to battles and things to give her a reason, but she's never been the one to go out on an adventure. It's not her life. You know, she loves complaining because things aren't working right. Yes, that's that kind of thing. But I have pulled her out a couple little times. So again, the NPC almost always fits the need, but sometimes it's not somebody that's going to be around for a long time. Willem, the guy who they just recently took the job for in the caravan. I had enough interesting backstory to explain how he knows where he was and so on and so forth. But just enough that he felt like a real character and helped them, again, bridge that gap. How do they go from, we want to pretend we're mercenaries, to now the city wants your help? That helped me bridge that. By them agreeing to help him, they got to act out in a way that would bring them the notoriety that they needed. So that's my big 3. People that fill a hole in the party, people that bridge the gap, and then there's the folks that are kind of in the background who help make the world. And I try to do as much of those as I can. Give them as much depth. What's up, Sandy? Sometimes characters are created in a way that they end up becoming way more than I expected. Draven, I always assumed was going to be a big character, but he wasn't designed to be a love interest for Artemis. The young lady playing him, or playing Artemis, led it that way, and then I just went running once she opened that door. But Michael was never intended to be a love interest for Dandy. Michael exists because I gave the party a deck of many things, and Dandy pulled the card, gained the loyalty. I think it's gained the loyalty of a 4th level fighter. So basically, a 4th level fighter says, yes, I'm going to work for you now for whatever reason. And I didn't want to have some dude just pop in out of nowhere. I wanted to make it fit into the story. So saving his life and she being the one to do so, and he immediately falling head over heels for her because of that, worked out. The head over heels part wasn't right at the beginning. She saved him. That's why he pledged allegiance to her. But then as the adventure proceeded, it became very easy to lead it along that path. Dandy was the first person to have any type of... She was the second person to have any type of romantic interest at all. The first person to have any interesting romantic was actually Willow, because Prince Christopher, who they saved, became the king of Arduel. He and Willow had a very, very quick connection that I had not exactly planned either. But then because of events, she never got to come home. She died. So she was the first person to have any type of love interest, with Dandy being right after that. Turtle says, wait, really? Michael was from the deck? I didn't even know they got one of those. Oh, yes. The deck I didn't fit into the story. They got the deck from helping King Christopher. It was a random roll. And the deck of many things was very hard for me to use in Merged Worlds because of the way Merged Worlds is set up. Give you an example. When Merged Worlds was first created, and all these characters and worlds were put together, there was a magical shield around Merged Worlds that did not let anybody in or let anybody out. Right? That was one of the basics. The only way to let them out was to gather all the artifacts, take them to the source, and open up the central gate, which would remove that shield. So that whole time period, no one could get in and no one could get out. A lot of the deck of many things are things that involve you going to other planes or summoning demons from other planes and stuff like that. So I had to take those cards out of the deck because they were useless. And so when I did that, I went in there and pulled good cards out of the deck that were about equal. So I ended up removing about 10 cards from the deck of many things, and I think it's like 30 cards total. So I had to negate those 5 good and 5 bad because they just wouldn't work for Merged World. Now, of course, it's different. Now, once that storyline ended, they could go anywhere. 5 watching, 8 likes. It's true. This stream doesn't have the most amount of people who normally come by and watch, but a lot of people, friends of the channel and longtime community, if they have the chance, they'll pop in and give it a like, even if they can't stay. And I definitely appreciate that. Oh, Sandrock Zone, exactly. Just my family and I will be watching the new Dune soon. Excellent. Yeah. Michael was purely from the deck of many things. I had to figure out a way. Services, that's the word. Gain the services of a 4th level fighter. And I don't know, it just worked out in such a way that I was able to really, really do some cool stuff with him. And boy, did he become an important character, right? That's a guy who really, really moved on. Okay, so that's not going to work for me. I don't like that. But what if instead did that already? I'm looking. One of them gained an 18 charisma and a small keep. I remember that one. Someone gained a magical item, and it was Shadowheart, and he got Bracers of Strength, which was the first magic item in all of my DMing career that kept breaking everything I was doing, and I had to find a way to fix it. So I know those 3. I can't remember anything else off the top of my head. The other things they got were stuff that I think one of them got an extra ability point, some things like that, but it was nothing that was major story driven. Teddy Bear Thief says, do you have any type of process for naming a character? I'm making a human fighter and I'm kind of stumped on the naming. I do, but it's because I have a very, very special situation in my life. I work at a call center. And I've been working at this call center over 5 years. And before that, I worked at a call center. And for that one, I worked for almost 8 years. So for the last 13 years, I talk to people on the phone all day, every day. And it's amazing what names come through there. A lot of people's first names in Merged World are last names I came across that were very, very cool, that I liked the way they looked. Or I altered them a little bit. I'm always jotting down names of people that come through. I don't mean their first and last name. I've never stolen someone's whole name. But if someone came through and their last name was Dumarian, I'm like, Dumarian, what a great name. I could make a character named Dumarian. It sounds D&D enough, but it's easy enough to pronounce that it sounds realistic. So that's one thing that I use a lot. But when I first started doing characters, I used to take the names of writers a lot, or specific books. I had a mage named Lenkmar, and that's because there was a role-playing game called Lenkmar. It was a city that it was based on. It wasn't a straight-up in D&D thing, but I saw the name and I thought I liked it. My friend Mike, who taught me how to play D&D, his first Kender's name was Kirchhoff, because Mary Kirchhoff is the writer who wrote all the early Kender novels in Dragonlance. So it just worked off real well. Kirchhoff wrote stories about Tasselhoff. So the names went really well together. So a lot of times I look for that. Now, when it comes to names in nowadays, if I'm not doing that, a lot of times I'm looking for a specific meaning. For example, Fia is spelled F-I-A-D-E. Last name is Shannon. I wanted a Gaelic name. I wanted an old Scottish, Irish Gaelic name, and I wanted to spell it correctly, and but I still wanted to sound realistic. So I literally went in and Googled Gaelic names and found a combination. I really liked Fia. And a lot of times they'll show you the pronunciation next to them. So it gives you the ability to, when they say Fia, and I type it like that, people look at that, they're for, ooh, it's exotic kind of thing. It's really just an old classic Gaelic name. So taking names from other cultures and stuff, you just got to be careful not to take, this is me, of course, to take a name of something that has a symbolism that's important to a group or culture and trivialize it by making it an ogre or an orc or something like that. You know what I mean? I wouldn't want to take someone's god that they believe in or something like that, and or figure from the past or hero or something like that. So I do take extra care when I choose names from other cultures specifically. Like when I wanted to name Quan is his last name, and he goes by Quan. Xian Quan is his name. His son's name is Ran. I did a decent amount of research on names in Asian cultures to make sure I wasn't taking a word that I could find one that is used as a name, but again, is not insulting anybody. But again, I am in a little bit bigger situation where I'm sharing this with the world. You may want to do that one day with your character, so it's something to think about, creating names. But most of the names nowadays, I luck out and come across names. And it's not always just the names of people calling in too. People will live on Dumarian Avenue. I'm like, Dumarian. And, they could live in Dumarian, Illinois. Dumarian. Those type of words pop in. I'm like, that sounds cool enough. Dumarian to me could very easily be a human or elf or half elf, along those lines. I probably wouldn't make a Minotaur Dumarian. For me, a lot of Minotaur names are very short. I've said this before, Minotaurs to me are a mixture between Klingons and old Roman sensibilities. So they have the big columns. Their architecture is very Roman, but it's also very honor and so on and so forth. Combat, die by the sword kind of thing. So that's a big part of when I kind of get a theme for a race, I try to stay with that. Minotaurs being probably the best example. And Kender the same kind of way. Kender should have a light name, right? We have Dandelion and we have Petal, right? Great combo. I didn't pick those, but a great combo. Classic in Dragonlance, you have Hasselhoff. I already told you Kirchhoff. I have Thickaway, which again is a light kind of Thickaway Tricklebush. You know what I mean? That's a light, bouncy kind of silly name. But it doesn't always have to be long like that. Twill Featherbottom is one, right? Kelvin is one that I thought felt well for a cleric one. So finding a name that fits the race is another challenge. I try to stay with that kind of theme when I name them, because you would think racially, right? I'm not. My name's Bob, and this guy's name's Boubliavier. I mean, you're like, wait, what? Those two names do not sound like they would come right out of the same person's mouth. Like, I'm Bob. This is Boubliavier, my brother. It's like that doesn't make sense. So, naming. What a great question. That's such a good question because wholeheartedly I agree. It is a challenge. So I'm really quickly, well, we're going to paint this guy. I'm quickly pulling up my miniature for the god of death, because he worships the god of death. I'm going to keep the color palette for him right along the same lines. See if we can, I don't know if this will pull over here or not. There it is. So that's Helena, goddess of death. So the red-black combo is what I'm really going to lean heavy into for this guy, because death is one, disease and such are aside. Happy early birthday. Hopefully you're talking to Teddy Bear Thief. Oh, no, that's Sandy Rock. 37th birthday. Oh, yeah. I remember you mentioned that earlier. Excellent. To donate to all of Draven's followers. Well, I'm sure they appreciate it. Lord knows I do. An early happy birthday as well. All right, so we're going to go with a very red, black looking thing. How did I give her that face mask? Okay, hold on. I can't find the face stuff. Why am I not finding the face stuff? There it is. Well, it's not in there. How did I give her that damn hat? Not there. Body. Oh, there it is. Mask. That's right. That's relatively fitting. That is very, very fitting. That kind of takes care of that for me. Delicious. So let's go down to the base. Real quick. I'm going to keep the same base, but I do want to add at least some death-looking things here, maybe. And then for item B, let's use some broken arrows. Yeah, I'm fine with those. Those look all right. All right. So color here, paints. So the red I used, I know I used the metal red. Really like this red. And it's black with red accents is the color of this. So the red should be in the, not the primary, but it should be enough that it stands out. That one, I did. Those I'm okay with. That's too much. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. That. Make that handle black. That. Okay. So I like that. Then I might go. I gotta fix those. I mean, I'm not as worried about those since no one can see the back, but you know. Okay. Black metal. I may change a little bit more on the chest. That. May want to go red on the back. That looks okay. Like that. Oh God. That's a horrendous amount, my friend. You may want to chill out a little on that. I'm not trying to bust nobody's bank here. Sorry. Sword sheath. Black. Those are just, I just don't like the way those look. Hold on a minute. Nope. Which one's the tilt one? Nope. I can never find the right one on the first try. Nope. There. Needs to come down further. Doesn't look like. Also gets rid of that cape problem. Okay. Color. Also, I want to throw by you guys, because I will be looking for some more ideas from what do you are there any other specific topics you'd like to see handled on Behind the Dice? Anything specific you'd like to maybe see? I'm going to go with the black for the face. Red teeth. Red. Not sure what I'm going to do for the buttons on. Black. I don't know why, but for some reason, evil always looks cooler. All right, Sandy, thanks for coming by. Have yourself a good one, bud. I appreciate you hanging with us. I'm going to need a different color for the actual blade. I want it to have an actual. And we may do that for the dog. Again, I try to use the same colors in when possible. Oh, he's got a big old white spot on his butt. Can't have that. White butt. Got in there. I got in there. Let's see. Do I want to highlight that? Yeah, that looks good. I'm okay with that. Do I want to highlight that red? I think I kind of do. All right. Okay, so I really like that. Again, it's just too single color for me to do that for the crotcholio area. I think we're gonna. So, to me, that kind of looks like it's part of the cape. So I'm gonna do that. For the skulls, get us a round out skull this time. That. Some wooden shafts. And for feather, I like to use different bone colors. Do the same thing with feathers as I do for parchment. Now, this ground, totally not going to work. We need something a little bit funkier. Yeah. Let's see. I'd be interested to know how you plan for all the possibilities, like going left or right, talking to the innkeeper or not, playing, doing things you haven't expected or anticipated. Well, I could touch on a little on that now. A lot of that is pre-planning. It's when I say, like, when you go into town as a player, like, okay, what does this town have? It's my job to give you that information. So if I say there's an inn, an armor smith, and a Bertram's All Goods, I already know those are in town. If you're coming to this town, I need to know that. And if I'm going to name them as a named place, then I need to have some information about what's going on in there. Even if it's simple as nothing of interest here. Then some of it, so that way when you're coming, especially when it's finding pieces of information. A lot of times the players don't find a fifth of the stuff that I put down. I was like, there's 2 bars, 3 hotels, an inn, a leather store, jewelry store, weaponsmith, and I've got information they can learn at every one of those, and some of them are duplicates. You can learn this fact at this one, or this one, so on and so forth. But how much information you have to help you on your adventure depends on how much you interact with the community or the area that you're in. As for knowing what players are going to do, early on it's hard to tell. Once you've played with a group for a little while, you get to learn their decision methods, especially if they're playing a character correctly. If you have a character who, is a little more brazen and the character is always one to rush in and fight, then it would be something along the lines of, it's like, okay, I can set up a fight or a battle where that person rushing in could really cause some trouble for the party. But then the rest of it is improv. You've got to have some improv skill and be able to think on your feet, because occasionally someone's going to do something you would have had no idea to even begin planning for, and you've got to really just improv it until you can get it back on track. Let's see here. I like this feed. I also DM, and I found that our styles are very similar, so it's always helpful to get confirmation on how situations can be handled, and I also get ideas from you. Awesome! I like to help when I can. Thank you. Jim says, if a player picks to go left but never went right, what kind of things on the average would they miss? Do you put those things in future decisions so players don't miss them? It depends. Before I start filling up a dungeon, I draw the dungeon. I've got the rooms already done. I may not even know what's going to go in them yet. I don't even know if it's going to be a puzzle room or not. But a lot of times, there are more than one way to get to the end. So, using it as a dungeon as an example. So if you're making your way through a dungeon, you can go left or right. Left, you might find a cool magic sword. Right, you might find a cool magic staff. You pick one, party has a chance of getting one of those. And then there are those situations where you're in a dungeon and you've got to gather the 6 keys hidden throughout the dungeon. That's not as hard. You're going to go everywhere because you need to get the thing out of every room. Or there's a lock and you have to do some mechanism in each puzzle room to get the main door to unlock. That's not as hard because I know you're going to go to all of them eventually. Doesn't matter to me what order you go in because each room is its own individual situation. This is a puzzle room. You're inside. You've got to figure out this puzzle. This room's got 3 evil minotaurs in it. You're in this room. You got to deal with 3 minotaurs. So even though each room has a piece of the whatever it is, whether it's something you've got to do in the room or something you got to get from the room is its own individual puzzle. It's not to say that the pieces you get from them could not be a larger puzzle. That's more fun if you can, get on that level. But if you can just be like, hey, this is how we're going to roll. You're in here, you find a room, there are 6 locks, and all the locks have a different picture on them. Or okay, what do they look like? One looks like a bird, one looks like a skull, one looks like a ship, that's right there. I've just opened up a whole new theme, right? One looks like a rock, one looks like a bird, one looks like a ship. Okay, cool. You go into one room and it's the replica of a ship in there, and you're fighting some pirate ghosts. A bird room, you're going in there, you got to fight some Arakoa, which are like flying birdmen. There can be themes tied into there. Or you find 6 locks. They're all made of different metals. Ooh, what metals? Gold, mithril, silver, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, and maybe the room has some type of theme with the metal. Or different material. This one appears to be made of ice. This one appears to be very hot to the touch. This one looks like it's made out of a hard sand and could crumble at any moment. This one appears to be made out of glass. All of them you can beat as hard as you want. You can't break them, but that's what they look like. So you go into each room. Now you're in a room that's a mirror puzzle. You're going to get the glass key out of that room. You got a cold room. You're going to get the ice key out of that one. So a lot of that, as I'm coming up with the puzzle, that'll help spell it out, what I'm going to do with the dungeon. But I draw the dungeon first, unless I'm doing hey, you've got to get through this big thing. You got to go to all the different rooms. If it's meant to be more of a maze and there's several different ways to get there, then yeah, you could miss some really cool stuff, but you might also miss some really bad stuff like traps and such as well. So let's say there was a room with a lock. How would one unlock that door? Preferably with a key. If they don't have the key, they have to decide, do I want to pick the lock or do I want to go try to find the key? Depending on who you have in your party, that can differ as well. For example, you could try to pick that lock, but it's magically enspelled. You didn't have a wizard in your party, so your thief just got 2 fingers blown off. You know? Can't check for magical traps. Doesn't work that way when you're... I'm pretty pleased with Lucas. The only thing I'm not super happy with is this bottom. I'm going to make it a little bit different down here. Well, maybe not. Ah, there we go. That's what I was looking for. Rain-drenched precipice. That's the word. Precipice of darkness. And there we have Deathblade Lucas. I really like how that... Again, I really like the colors of Helena. She's one of my favorite gods in the design. So I feel that this would very easily be the armor of a Templar for that goddess. You know what I mean? I was torn because I thought about putting the 2 sheaths on his back because I'm a big fan of that shink. But when it comes to these miniatures, it's hard to do that if you have a cape, because how do you do that? Are they on the outside of the cape? Your cape's not going to flutter around very much. If it's under the cape, how you can get the swords out? You know, practicality has to be considered. You heading to bed? Yeah, it's 10:30. I'm about to call this as well. We've done our 2.5 hours. Let me just save this real quick. And then let's go ahead and get our screenshot. We got 3 NPCs done today. Technically, the Deathblade Lucas was just a fun one. Alternative outfits, so I'm excited to add that on there. And then we got Dina's uncle, obviously a character we're going to see more of in the future. And then the very first one we did, and I've already forgot her name again. I'm a horrible person. Oh, no wonder. I keep trying to look for a name. I've gone the wrong part. I hate when I do that and I forget. Shayla. I picked the name because I liked it, and now I keep forgetting it. So we got Shayla. So, yeah, today was a discussion of NPCs and story stuff. I enjoyed answering your questions, and I appreciate that. If you are watching this later and you have questions along these themes or something else, or you have an idea for a theme or something you'd like to see on Behind the Dice, please feel free to put those down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and love to answer your questions. I'm happy to get back to you as quickly as I can. As well as you can go to my website, Onlydraven.com. Right on the first page, down at the bottom, is a place you can submit an email with questions, suggestions, and while you're there, up at the top, you can click the Characters tab to see all of the minis that I paint and I post. You'll also find links to all the different Merged Worlds information, such as links to all of the different episodes. But I had a really good time chatting with you guys today, and I had a lot of fun painting some characters. Thank you so much for helping me pick out some cool colors and positions and gear. All right? But I'm going to call that a day because I'm actually a little tired myself. And I got to do my sad, depressing job tomorrow. Let's see. Thanks for all the help. Decided to name the fighter Ivor Menutheria. I like that. Menutheria. I like it. Teddy Bear Thief, pleasure having you. Hopefully we'll see you again next Thursday. I'll be back here again at the same time, 8 p.m., but it'll be actually for an episode of Merged Worlds, which is my Dungeons & Dragons story stream podcast. You can find every episode here on the channel, video, or on iTunes and Spotify as an audio podcast. Thank you all for coming and hanging with me. I hope you have yourselves a wonderful evening and a good rest of your week. All right? Talk to you later.